And a happy What the Hell Everything Day. Coming up on the podcast, I'll be talking to badass Jaclyn Dugan-Roof. Said that right again. I had a great sit-down chat with Jaclyn yesterday, so that's coming up on the What the Hell Everything podcast. And then whatever else comes up in my brain, and hit up patreon.com/we3smiths, all sorts of extra content. And that's, of course, how I'm funding my trip to Ireland in 2026, my podcast project, my podcast project, Smitty Learns Irish podcast, pubcast, excuse me, coming in 2026. Patreon.com/we3smiths. What the hell, everything. What the hell, everything! And yes, a What the Hell Everything podcast. Thanks for joining me. My name is Smitty. For the week of October 18th, 2021, recorded October 19th, 2021. Not that it matters. This podcast is on the internet. It's not timely. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to be talking to Jaclyn Dugan-Roof, who is somebody that I follow on Facebook and has caught my eye just because she's doing cool shit, and I want to interview more people doing cool shit. Like, that was the whole point of this podcast when I started it years ago, 4 years ago now, probably, was that I just love good conversations. And I want to take part in good conversations, but I haven't always necessarily been the best conversationalist that's on the air. I feel like if I'm around somebody who I'm comfortable with, yeah, I'm fine, I can talk. But if I'm not, then no, I just clam up, and I have a tendency to clam up on the air if I get nervous. So I've always wanted to have great conversations. And get better at it. And that was the whole point of this. Like, to me, like, good conversation is a skill. There's some people that just fucking can't do it, and there's some people that can, and most people can if they give themselves the opportunity to try to do so. If you try hard enough, you'll get better at it. And that's what I'm trying to do with this whole podcast. So I'm finally getting to the point that I can have guests on one-on-one conversations rather than it just be having weed or something, which I'm all about it. Like, if Jaclyn wanted to smoke weed, we probably would have smoked weed. But the point is that I just love having good conversations, and that was the whole point of me starting this podcast, is getting better at that. And I feel like I'm finally kind of catching my groove with that. So having people that look like they're doing cool shit on there, inspiring other people to do cool shit, badasses that I see and I follow, and that I want to get to talk to more, you know. So have Jaclyn coming up in just a little bit. Oh, real quick, what is actually kind of a topic coming up with Jaclyn is the weed day workouts that I'm doing. I'm recording my first one tomorrow. I was going to do it on Sunday, but I have these grand fucking visions in my head, and I don't really think out details sometimes. It's just a fucking issue that I have. But I figured it out, finally, how I'm going to record the podcast. So that's going to happen this week, the weed day workouts, which is new, and I am genuinely excited about. Like, I know there's some people that are off-put by the weed thing, but it's just a thing. It's legal. It's fucking, it's a benefit, and I've completely become a marijuana advocate, and I couldn't be more 100% behind this podcast. How many other people are interested? Check it out. I don't know. We shall see. And it's just, I do these podcasts because they sound like a good idea. You know? They sound like a good idea to me. And that's really all you can go on. Don't want to talk to Lions at all. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of made it my thing where I talk about the Lions if they're on. It's just a place to vent, you know? For us to come together, Detroit Lions fans, to come together, and it's like therapy, you know? It's Lions therapy right here, the What the Hell Everything podcast. There you go. I love Dan Campbell. Man, I do. I didn't really see it. Looked like he called out Jared Goff. Everybody said he called out Jared Goff. For what, you ask? I don't know. Not completing any fucking passes. I was like, Jesus Christ, man. My brother does games too often unless there's just glaring fucking issues. Like, When I say he doesn't get into games, he talks about it, but he doesn't get amped up. And he got really fucking amped up the other day because he's like, DeAndre Swift is fucking open. He's open. It was one of those. And it just like, damn it. Underthrowing, overthrowing to the side. Like, I think I feel like he's a smart quarterback. You know, he fucking played with a good team. They went to the Super Bowl. Granted, it was the defense that got him there, not the quarterback, you know? And by the way, another Levi hatred thing, it's fucking funny, man, that he's like, I don't really know if I should say what he said because it was pretty brutal, insinuating everybody that said Matt Stafford was the problem can really go fuck themselves. I mean, that's the nice version, trust me. Because seriously, you see the fucking difference, man. What he's doing with the Rams and what Jared Goff is doing with the Lions. What some guys can do with not a lot versus what some guys can do with very little. Matt Stafford with very little would have at least 2 wins out of this fucking season. At least 2. And it's just like, but I don't hate Jared Goff because I feel like he's a smart quarterback. You know, he's not an asshole. He just can't, he's just one of those guys that could be a coach, but they just, for whatever reason, it can't compute the fucking brain thing to the hand skill thing. The hand-eye doesn't work with the brain, with the homework that you do. It just, I don't know. Fuck. You watch it and you're like, God damn it. It's another fucking rebuild. It's another fucking shitty year. You want just like one win. Because now the fucking meme is that what? Hey, they could be the first team to go 0-17. Fucking man. But I'm going to watch it every fucking week just like I did the 0-16 year. You know? 0-16 year. Did I say that right? Yeah, I think I did. Fuck, man. Fucking Lions. But I know, like, I still feel positive about this team. I like Dan Campbell. I like the coaching staff. Got fucking injuries and they got... they just don't have the talent yet. They're going to get the talent. It's one thing that pisses me off when I talk to McTighe on the group thread when he's like, yeah, they're probably better if they lose. They just need to lose every game. I'm like, fuck that. Fuck that fucking shit. Ever, never, ever fucking throw fucking games. I hate the very insinuation of like trying to lose. And I know he would probably say something like, yeah, I don't mean the players throw games, but you don't try to win either. Fuck that shit. I actually did see something about them trading for a wide receiver. My first thought was, why? Why would you do that? Like, the receiver's not the fucking problem. Fucking, you know, it's really, I mean, you want better receivers, but god damn it, man. I honestly think you should just bench fucking Jared Goff and start David Blau and just cut your fucking losses. Be like, fuck that. We're going to this guy. This guy clearly is not the fucking issue. Let's at least try this backup motherfucker to see if we got anything. Yeah. Yeah, see, this is a good vent session, man. Still feel positive. You wouldn't think so. Fucking A. I wonder if anybody's watching this podcast going, fucking get to the Jaclyn Dugan-Roof interview. And we are. We're going to get to that. I did see that Colin Powell passed away, and that was a bummer. 84 or 82, somewhere in those early to mid-80s. Complications from COVID, and already the fucking people are just, I can't believe I saw these things. It was something like just either A, politicizing it or talking shit about him because he would vote halfway Democratic, and even though he was a Republican for years. Some people aren't a fan of his because, you know, Gulf War history and some things that they don't agree with politically. Whatever, that's not even the point, I don't think. You know, some people are going to take a shit on it, but people that would normally consider themselves members of the flag team, you know what I'm talking about, the yell about America, yeah, America. I mean, I'm a vet, I love it too, but, you know, the flag team is a different story, I think. So it's always, funny to see members of the flag team taking a shit on somebody who used to be their guy, but doesn't necessarily agree with him anymore. And fuck that guy is kind of the vibe I get. Your loyalties only go so far, right? I mean, that's kind of. I probably am not making any sense. Makes sense in my head. Anyway, Colin Powell passed away. Complicated. No, the argument I saw from some people was, oh, he had a vaccine and he still died. Yeah, but he also had Parkinson's and other things, and vaccines aren't 100% effective, as has been stated a million times before. Doesn't mean you shouldn't fucking get one. What did I see on Jon Stewart's new show, which is called The Problem? The Problem with Jon Stewart or something like that is on Apple TV, Apple Plus, whatever the fuck that is. And it's fucking brilliant. One shitty comment I saw on social media was like, oh, it's just a fucking, it's just a fucking copycat of The Daily Show. Fuck you, it's not either. It's nothing like The Daily Show. Just because he has a segment where he talks about it in that comedic style with it, and there's an audience there laughing at it. He enjoys doing that, but that part is very brief, and then it goes into some great, just in-depth commentary and conversations and smart talk and educated talk about fucking subjects. It's fucking worth watching, man. It's what he did with The Daily Show, but like way a lot. They don't have a lot of the dumb comedy necessary, for sure. But it's way more like sophisticated than the fucking Daily Show. It's fucking really good. And the last episode was focused, because every episode I think is focused on like some theme. Like the veterans were the focus of the first episode I saw. And it was Jon Stewart is championing veterans and firefighters and first responders from 9/11, like way more than fucking any like conservative group. You know what I mean? So he's got cred in that scenario. But this episode was about freedom. And, what does freedom mean? There are other countries that are free, and all these people are screaming about, we don't have our freedoms, and, we don't have to wear a mask, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, the fucking, and it just flashed back to quotes from like World War II vets. Yeah, we sacrificed fucking our minerals, our iron. We did all these things, but fuck your fucking sacrifice for freedom now, because it just totally goes against what you think politically, essentially. Don't mind me with my pomegranate juice and water. That being said, hey, I want to give a shout out to Fat Chicks Barbecue, parent approved, I must say, who are very against driving an hour and a half probably to Atlanta to try their. I ain't driving no hour and a half for barbecue until I guilt tripped them into it. So it's parent approved. Man, they're fucking fantastic. I do believe they're winter hours right now. They just switched to winter hours at Fat Chicks Barbecue in Atlanta. And I do believe they're just open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If I'm misspeaking on that, I apologize. I'm going to get there in a couple weeks to Fat Chicks Barbecue. Oh, they have their Hunters Special for opening week of deer season, which is mid-November. And they cater Halloween parties, birthdays, weddings, and such. And also, if you have email or questions, and when they're open, because they were unfortunately closed the other day, things just, with staffing and shit, sometimes that happens right now in our history. So just something you got to battle through, and they're battling through it great at Fat Chicks. But if you have questions or want to book something, go to fatchicksbbqandpizza@gmail.com, fatchicksbbqandpizza@gmail.com, and they'll answer any questions. They're fucking fantastic, and I'm glad they don't care if I swear. That was a big thing. Any like, sponsors on the podcast or anything, I always, it's kind of happening. People are inquiring, and I'm, and it's one of those things. I need to go into it slowly because I got to make sure my process is good. I got to make sure it works for me on a stress level that I can't even tell you. Like I want sponsors, but I also want to make sure I'm comfortable with it. I need to make sure they're comfortable with it. I need to make sure I'm comfortable with them and they're comfortable with me. They know what the fuck kind of things I talk about and say things that might piss people off or offend people a lot of times. That's why I'm not on the fucking radio anymore. So I do have a tendency, and you got to let people know, hey, I have a tendency to say off-color things sometimes, or say things that somebody might not agree with necessarily. But people still like me. Not all the time. Trust me, there's people that don't. Hey, I want to talk to a badass. I did talk to a badass yesterday. Sat down with Jaclyn Dugan-Roof. So hopefully you stick around for this hour-ish chat. We call it SmitHole Fire Chats. Oh, and by the way, I fucking started the fireplace thing. Wherever the fuck it is. I don't know if I flipped it. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't know where it is. Because I thought it'd be fun. I like my SmitHole Fireside Chats. Here's Jaclyn.
Well, fight training. Yeah.
Have you fought before?
I have. I had one fight in 17. Yeah, so it was right before we moved here. I fought in February. Lost, which is the best part of it. Yeah. And it was in my hometown. And just shit ton of people because I sold like hundreds of tickets.
What's your hometown?
Kankakee, Bradley, Bourbonnais, Illinois.
Say that again.
I'm from Bradley, Illinois, so it's like 60 miles south of Chicago. So in the cornfields, everyone's like, "Oh, you're from Chicago?" I'm like, "No, we're like."
Did you say Kiki or something?
Kankakee.
Kankakee? I don't know what that is.
Some kind of Indian name. Yeah, a little bit of a rough area, but yeah. But we fought there, and I ended up losing. It was my first fight, and I wanted to 17? Do it again. Yeah. So I haven't really.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you have fought earlier if there hadn't been a fucking pandemic?
No, because then I moved here. Okay. And so we moved here the end of 17, so I lost like my gym, I lost all my training partners. I didn't know anyone here. Yeah. And that's not something you usually walk in as a 35-year-old woman and go, "I want to do fight training," because everyone goes, "Yeah, okay, that's fun."
Does that when you say it like that, does it happen quite a bit where women come in wanting to fight and work out and train how to fight, and then it just kind of peters off, or they lose the desire or anything like that?
I don't know.
Not women, but I mean, cause look, I'm a fucking prime example of like, I don't feel like doing this anymore.
Well, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I think mainly women, this has just been my experience, they come in more for the fitness, like, "Oh, this will be fun, like it's called Muay Thai, like take a Muay Thai class, so this will be fun, and I could do some fitness. Oh, I get to hit stuff, like, and then you start getting like, oh, I kind of like this, and some of us will taper off, and some of us get punched in the face, and we go, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Takes a special kind.
By the way, with sitting down with Jaclyn Dugan-Roof.
Very good. Right? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
One thing I do excel at is the English language, even though I can't speak it. It works.
It works. It connects. It's all good.
And I wanted to get you on because I'm really, really trying to focus more on just interviews with people. And really, I'm using Facebook as the fucking, as where I find my people to come on the podcast. I want to find people that are doing awesome things and being badass, so to speak. So that word was in my head, probably because I follow you a lot. So I go on your page. I was going to stalk you out a little bit before you came on.
Nice.
And it was just badass. There was badassery, and then there was,
The word badass is very rampant on my page for sure.
Before we get back to your fight, so explain a little bit like what you do and where, because you're training to fight. Mm-hmm. Where at specifically are you training right now? Is that where you work? Is that because you're a trainer?
I am a trainer, so I do Muay Thai /boxing. I always say Muay Thai. People are like, "Oh." Basically, Muay Thai is the art of 8 limbs. So most people want to come in and they want to box and they want to hit shit, right? They're like, yeah, put on gloves, this will be fun. I mainly get women, and they were like, yeah, this will be really fun. I've always wanted to learn how to box. I'm like, cool, but then I'm going to teach you how to use your elbows, how to use your knees, and how to use your feet as well. They're like, oh, I get to kick stuff too? I'm like, of course you do.
Yeah.
So it's this progression. But yeah, I'm over at Elite Fitness on Garfield. That's where Justin has been so gracious to let me bring some people in and just kind of do my thing and do my own thing and kind of get people interested in the sport because it's not a very common thing, especially for females. So it's kind of nice. And he's like, I kind of like watching, like, especially when females are new, they come in and then we start wrapping their hands, we put on gloves and they walk out. And he's like, you kind of feel like their chests are puffed up a little bit, like, oh, this is kind of nice. Like, I can actually hit shit. It's okay. I'm like, you can. It's really great.
It's awesome. Just like watching what you're doing. Just from an outsider's perspective, it's like, how would you describe yourself? Honestly, because I mean, it seems like you're trying to inspire people, B, you're working through your own shit. You know what I mean? But using that as fuel, obviously to fuel you and to fuel other people.
Right.
You know, like I feel like that's what I see.
Good. Well, that's what I'm portraying. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to portray at least. Okay. I feel like, I don't know, like everyone kind of sees that badassery and they're like, oh, you know, you have everything put together and, oh, you know, you're so badass and confident. I'm like, dude, it has been such a fucking journey. And really for me, like the past year and a half has been probably a huge turning point for me. It was the fight in 17, my very first fight. That was life altering. Like, I don't know that I'll ever be the same after that experience. And then going into moving to Michigan from my hometown, not knowing anybody, and I was super connected back at home. So I come to a community where I don't know a soul, and I have to reestablish all of that.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, it is. And I'm a mom
no support system.
None at all. And I'm a mom of 2 girls, so bringing kids into it, of course. And then in that 3.5 years we've been here, I threw in a divorce. I'm like, why not get divorced too?
Yeah, why not? Do it all.
Go big or go home, right? And so I'm like, okay, that wasn't part. So it's all this, like, that wasn't part of the plan. Like, this isn't what I thought.
I was taking the fight in the timeline. I was like, was the fight before?
Before, after?
Okay,
right.
Before, yeah.
No, it was definitely before. Yeah. I'm not sure I would have made it through the fight without him, so I'll give him some credit. Right. But, so it's like this whole, like, what you think you have planned, and then you're going, oh, shit, that's not what I had planned. And then it's like, okay, where do I fit into it? So I can blame everyone else, or I can blame that the fight didn't go well for me because I lost, or I can blame because my training isn't going well. I can blame it on all these other things, or I could blame my divorce on my ex-husband. But at the end of the day, like the other day, I had this epiphany. I'm like, holy shit, it's my own toxicity. It's my own, what am I doing? That's kind of life-altering. Shit, now I got to do some work. So it's never ending.
It's little baby steps. It's little realizations, you know?
It is.
Because there's people that have those, but they don't choose to act on them.
Exactly.
Or they don't necessarily feel like it's them. You know what I mean? Looking inward is hard for a lot of people.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's super scary. And I don't know that I ever really looked inward until... it hasn't been very long. Yeah. That I was like, oh, maybe there's some, like, the common denominator here is me. Like, something's not right. Like, let me figure out what's going on. The inward journey is scary as fuck, let's just say.
It is. It is. You know,
it's scary.
I have weed that helps me, but it's, you know.
Trust me, if I wasn't training right now, I might need some.
Honestly, you should try getting high before you fucking, because I'm a monster because I started.
See, I'm
honestly,
not.
I started on the elliptical, and that's really all my fitness includes is on the elliptical. In front of the TV, virtual running through whatever destination around the world I am. But I'm not joking. I'm starting it's fucking stupid. I am starting another podcast called Weed Day Workouts, where we get high and we run through fucking wherever. Because I have double the lung capacity when I get high. I fucking lock right in Zoom. It's a real thing.
Hey, I would be opposite.
I'm going to capitalize on that.
I get super mellow, so not a good.
Oh, no, a good sativa? It's fucking locked in. Locked in. I can't recommend that enough. Anyway, let's not talk about that. So clearly weed is not what you're using.
Yeah. Clearly. Not part of my training regimen, no.
Tell you what, though. I swear by it. I swear by it.
I want to start marketing that shit.
So, what were we talking about before? Because I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know.
What were we talking about before?
Going inward.
We're talking about looking inward.
Yeah, that journey.
But I mean, using that as, do you use that as workout fuel? I mean, obviously you have to an extent.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, at the end of the day, I do have a trainer that's kind of all up my ass. Like, you said you were going to do this, you've put it out there. I do have a thing called an ego. Everyone does, where it's like, oh, yeah, I already put it out there. I should probably do it. And I only have so much time to train and prepare for a fight. And as I was telling you before, I don't even have an opponent yet. So that's kind of messing with my mind a little bit.
Okay, so
why am I doing all this?
Yeah, let's compare that to your first fight, which was in 2017. Did you know who your opponent was going to be then?
I did closer to it. So we didn't know. So you typically commit and then you train and get ready, and then they find an opponent, in the process. If they know you want to fight, they'll, work on finding an opponent for the show. We knew that when the show was, or when the fight night was. So we knew that day, but we didn't know necessarily who the opponent was until a little bit closer. But at least I had one, and yeah, she was, probably a month before I knew who my opponent would be. But at that point, you're just training and you're kind of in the thick of it.
It helps to know who you're fighting. Now I don't know why, because it's not like you have film of the other person you're fighting. You go on their Facebook page.
And we're super amateurs. So
imagine fucking them up. Just go on their Facebook page and stalk them out. I mean, come on.
Right. I mean, you can kind of see some of their strategy, but really, honestly, like, it was my first fight. It was only her second fight. This was like a thing for me. To start off, I just want to do boxing for fitness. I was like, I've always wanted to try it. So I started with one trainer, and then I switched to an actual gym, a training gym, and then learned Muay Thai. And they're like, would you ever fight? I'm like, no. Like, whoever is going to lock themselves in a cage and get their ass beat? Not me. Like, I'm cool.
Yeah.
And I went a good year and a half or so, and then they're like, oh, yeah, sure you don't want to fight? I'm like, I like it, but I don't know if I could do it. And then the only stipulation that we always keep running into is that I'm at a heavier weight class. So typically female fighters are like 145 and lower. Yeah, that's not my weight. So we had to go a little higher. Like, I'll fight at 170. That's what I have to get down to. So typically that's not common that females of my stature, my size, or my weight fight. It's not a very common thing.
So are you trying to go down in weight while you're training too? What are you trying to get down to?
I have to go down to 170.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to go down to 170. No shit.
Yeah. There's a gentleman today at the gym. He's like, oh, you got 170. Like, are you going up in weight? I'm like, dude, no, I walk at like 195. Like, this is not an easy cakewalk for me. Like, I have 15 pounds to go in the next month. But last time I lost 15 pounds in a week. So in my head, I'm like, I can do it, but I'm trying not to go in that mindset. Like, I just want to taper it off now.
I'm fasting all this week, and I fucking hate it. Like, I just started today, but I'm going to go through Friday. Yeah,
it sucks, doesn't it? That's pretty much fight. You be ready for a fight come Friday.
No, I did that. I was in the Army, and I fought. I had 3 fights. It was like intramural. It was like intramural boxing. You know? And
that's pretty much what ours is.
Yeah, and I won one, I lost one, and I drew one. The last one, my nose broke, like head-butted.
Oh.
And I'm like, this is fucking stupid. I hated getting hit. I'm like, this is dumb. Why would I ever do this ever again?
Again, right?
But I'll tell you what, it is, as far as workouts go, like, you saw the bag when you came down, of course you did, but the heavy bag's out in the garage. Levi uses that quite a bit, and I was trying to talk him into, like, like actually doing like fight training, because that motherfucker, my brother Levi, who's my roommate, has just turned into a monster.
Yeah,
just a monster. I bet he's lost. He had to have lost 100 pounds. But I mean, he is up every day at 4:30 for a fucking hour and a half, just raging. Jeez. But I'm trying to talk him into fight training, because I'm like, dude, like, you have no idea like what good cardio is.
Yeah, the discipline of it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
The discipline is what. And for me, I've always been an athlete, but I haven't been a super fitness guru. I mean, I've always been in that, I guess, area. Yeah. And so I was always like, oh, yeah, I'll do. And I'm built. I have broad shoulders. So we're like, do boxing. That'll be good. I'm like, okay, cool. And then when I started learning Muay Thai and the fight training, I was like, my body doesn't move like this. It took me months to like be able to like even move. I'm not agile. Like, just learning a completely new sport was, because I was a softball catcher. So we were taught to be big, solid and you go side to side. That's about all they needed me to do.
It's all the movement. Yeah, there was no...
It's like, I need you to be
Probably,
220 pounds.
I'm pretty sure they didn't even like have you stretch as a catcher. They're like, no, just stay there.
No,
Don't
pretty
move.
much stay there, and you just needed to be able to move side to side and stop the ball and stop people that were coming at you full run, but full sprint. But yeah, so just the challenge of something new was, and I was also in my 30s. I mean, I was 35 when I fought. I always joke that after the fight, you talk to your opponent like your best friends. You just beat the shit out of each other. And they're like, hey, cool, how are you? And we were talking about going to Vegas. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to go to Vegas. We're going in a couple weeks to celebrate. It'd be fun. She's like, I can't wait till I can go to Vegas. I'm like, well, why can't you go to Vegas? She's like, oh, I can, but I'm only 20. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I'm a 35-year-old mother of 2.
Did you win?
I did not.
Oh, man.
But I was really excited for her.
Got your ass kicked by a 20-year-old.
I did. But then I was like, ooh, I'm still pretty badass.
I mean, honestly, it could be a negative and then a positive.
Yeah.
I got my ass
hey, I lasted the whole 3 rounds, though. That's all.
How long were the rounds?
Only 2 minutes.
That's not
the longest
bad.
freaking 2 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
But they go like that, too, as you know, so.
No, they don't, because... No, they don't. I think I did 2 2-minute rounds. All 3 fights were 2 2-minute rounds. I'm like, oh, my God. And I was in the Army. Like, I didn't train to box for months. It's like I don't know, I was in the Army, so I was in good shape. I ran fucking like the wind, whatever. But as far as training for fights, it was just you go in the gym and, the guys that I was training with, my squad leader, they weren't boxing experts. They weren't, but it was just a quick training thing.
Right.
And it was not like weeks long or months long or something like that. Yeah. So
that makes a huge difference. Yeah, I remember. That's what I do miss being here. I mean, I don't have my old training gym, but we would go for hours every day, and they would just smash me up and send me home. And it was kind of a very humbling experience, let's say.
Yeah, because those, I don't know, from what I've read, you see clips or whatever, fight training and that, they get their asses kicked. Trainers don't hold up. They don't take it easy on you.
No, I do miss that aspect of it.
As a woman, do you think trainers or sparring partners or whatever take it easy?
Depends on who you...
the pulling punches or... No?
It depends. So when you first start, of course, no one's going to come. They're not going to just throw you into spar right away. So you have to learn, obviously, the technical skills, all of that, which took a while for me. And then they eventually let you spar. And they don't go full force. I mean, they know if they're respectful. You have, some of the times you have those douchebags that come in like, oh, yeah. And then they see a girl and they're like, yeah, this is fun. And then they come.
Those fucking guys usually clam up, though.
They do.
They talk big game. Then like, oh, now what?
I had one. Yeah. I had one that did not, he just kept going at me. But the thing he didn't realize was he was training with me, and then right after me was my trainer. So he would watch me get my ass beat, and I would just be so frustrated. I'm like, all right, good luck. And I'd hand him over to my trainer. My trainer would just light him up. He's like, I got you. I'm like, I can't, physically. He was just a big dude. Yeah. He had a lot to prove. I'm like, they're like, you don't need to go so hard, whether it's her or any of the guys. And they do kind of go, I think, a little easy on you as a female. But then when you start punching back and they realize, oh, she ain't playing around, they didn't let up at all. Then it was full on. I was just their counterpart. It didn't matter.
Even if you're not fighting, is Muay Thai basically when you're working out regularly, whatever your regular routine is, that you don't have a fight coming up? What is your normal routine? Are you normally fight training at all?
No. So what happened is probably I'd say April, May. I had been working out regularly, of course. It's kind of a natural thing for me anymore. And I had gone to my trainer, and I'm like, I need something. I need something to focus on. I need something like a goal. I'm kind of I have something in mind. My ego and pride take over. If I say I'm going to do it, I can't not do it for the most part. And I remember saying, I just need a good fitness challenge. I need something. And naturally, fighting, because I remember back when I trained how much I enjoyed it, but how grueling it was for me. And I went to my trainer in Illinois, and I'm like, do you think you could get a fight? He's like, would you fight? I'm like, no, I don't think I'm ready physically. It's been a long year. It's been a tough year. And then something switched one day, and I'm like, let's do it. Let's schedule me. And then once I told Justin at Elite, he's like, oh, game is on. So it's been interesting.
It's like pulling the trigger with life decisions or something. not ready yet, I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet. And then you make yourself say the fucking words in public to somebody else.
Once I put on Facebook or said to anybody or just said to Justin that day, and he was like, are you serious? I'm like, yep, let's do it. He was like, oh, fuck yes, let's go. So now it's like, okay, I can't. Like I told him the other day, we were working out, and he was like, just remember your why. Just remember your why. And I'm staying in the gym, and I'm like...
Just remember your why.
Yeah, he's like, remember your why. Why are you doing this?
Okay,
like,
yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I know my motherfucking why anymore. He's like, all right, fair enough. But I'm like, that's just that constant... Some days are worse than others. I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't even really have a fight, technically. In my head, I do. I'm weighing in the 12th of November, and I'm ready for the 13th of November.
13th of November? Where's it at?
It'll be in Illinois.
Oh, is it in Illinois? Mm-hmm. So you're from Illinois. So you get to go home.
You do get to go home.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of just say I trained and I got ready and put my body through. And it's been interesting, too, because I haven't had the support.
Yeah.
So I haven't had my old training. I have Justin here, but all my old training partners are in Illinois. I'm no longer married, so I can't come home if I'm super tired and have my kids. Like,
but you have to have found some sort of friend circle here in town, right?
Yes and no. Mm-hmm. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
I think for me too, that's part of the inner work is that I come from a community where everyone knew me. So it's been very interesting to come into a new community and not know a soul, and then be able to kind of like, where do I go? Who do I meet?
Yeah.
Who are my people? Who are not my people?
I love the idea of going somewhere where nobody knows me and starting from scratch. Like, it's so fucking attractive. The idea that, I don't know anybody, and I'm just starting a whole brand new thing.
It's pretty cool, but it's pretty daunting.
It's daunting. Now, I've never, I don't think of it from the perspective of like a support group or a support circle or anything like that. You know what I mean? Just kind of you'll work it out when you get there, kind of thing. But yeah, it's got to be tougher.
It is. It was a little tough.
When
transition.
You got divorced and shit, and you found yourself here with no circle, did you why didn't you just move back?
So
your kids are in school.
My kids are in school, and we're here. So we moved here together.
Sure.
So the four of us came up in 2017, 2 days after Christmas. And then everything just established everything. My kids are in school. They like it here. We came up for his job. I kind of was like, all right, cool. And everyone asked, are you going back to Illinois? I'm like, no, I don't think I am. I'm from a political family. So in Illinois, there's just a lot of baggage there, in all honesty.
Political family, like you had like public servants or elected officials?
Elected officials.
Like mom, dad?
My mom was a state rep.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we come from a very deeply political family. Many years.
Is it hard to stay out of arguments?
No, because I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't, people start talking politics. They're like, oh, you're from I'm just not. I'm like my dad. I'm like, I just don't want any part of it. I'm kind of like, you believe what you believe. I respect that. Cool. I don't like that part of it. That's why everyone's like, why don't you get into politics? I did a little stint right before we moved, and it was more the public. I like the public service aspect of it. I don't like the bullshit.
You did a stint. What did you get?
I was elected, yeah. 2017 was a big year for me.
Oh, shit, yeah.
I had a fight in February, was elected to a village trustee office, a position there in May, and then we moved in December. 2017 was huge.
Wow.
Yeah, we moved to Michigan, of all places, Traverse City, Michigan. So,
I mean, yeah, it's what would make you just pick up and move?
What made us pick up and move? I was always kind of ready.
Because you just got elected, I would assume November you took office or whatever.
We took office in May.
In May.
And so by December I was like, thanks for electing me, and we're moving.
Peace out.
Yeah, right. It kind of all just happened. We'd always kind of been, oh, do we want to move? Do we not want to move? I'm like, I'm a wanderlust by heart. So if I could literally sell everything and live in an RV and just go anywhere, that would be ideal for me. I'm just that kind of person where I'm like, I like to explore and travel and meet new people, and not really, I think I always say I have commitment issues, I think. Not really get my roots in somewhere too deep, because I was from there and my roots were so deep that it was actually overwhelming a lot of times. And coming from a political family, everyone's knows everything, and you have all that background. It's just I need a break free a little bit.
Just gotta feel like I just gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
I just gotta get out of here.
There are aspects I miss, like, oh, I could walk in anywhere and get a job, or, oh, I knew all these people, or, oh, I could go get involved in this. I was super involved. But yeah, it was kind of nice to break free too.
Has finding a gig here, like job, is, or not that, not.
It's okay, I get it all the time. What do you do, Jaclyn?
I have no clue.
It's all good. I do a little bit of everything. I was like, what do you do? I'm like, what do you, 10 different things? I'm like a hustler, resourceful kind of person by nature. Again, I think I have commitment issues. Like, don't expect me to clock in from 9 to 5. Ain't my style. just be honest.
You weren't late today. You were when you say don't clock in. Is this? It sounds like somebody that's late a lot. You know what I mean?
I usually am late. Actually, I was surprised.
You're on time.
I was surprised I got here early.
Yeah.
I think I sped a little bit, but no, I think it's more just the like having to be somewhere. Like, don't put me in a cubicle. It's just not me. Like, I can't be in an office. Like, I just can't be like, this is your day and this is what it looks like. Like, I'm such a all over. I like to kind of manage my time, which has been interesting over the past few years of kind of navigating that. And again, not knowing the community. Where does that fit in, and how do I do it? How do I still support my children? Like, how do I feed my kids? You know, so it's that type of resourcefulness. I think that it's just me. I'm not a big office. This is what you like, the same thing every day.
It's fucking terrible sounding.
Oh my gosh, no thanks. I will pass. But everyone's built differently.
I tried a few times with like, you know, like sales jobs,
right?
Or like, you know, sitting in a fucking cubicle, and I just want to murder.
I know.
Just need to get the fuck
it's
out
not
of there.
good.
I can't stand it.
It's not a good thing. And I appreciate those that can, or you know, like factory jobs, need them, love them. I'm not one to put in that type of position. I'm just not. Yeah. I need something different every day. Yeah, it's chaotic at times, but for me, that's just how I work and how my brain works. So it's how it always has.
How do your kids feel about you fighting? Do they think it's cool?
They think it's pretty cool. No, I don't think it really dawns on them. I think they're so used to their mom being weird. And 11 and 8. Yeah, both girls.
Yeah.
I think they're just used to it.
Well, just fights.
Yeah.
That's what she does.
It's just a normal thing.
It's kind of awesome, you know. Plus, they're going to school. They're telling all their friends that their mom is a fighter. But I bet
probably my little one. My oldest one, probably not so much. No? She's a little more like her dad, a little more reserved. But
the little one is stoked that you're fighting.
Yeah, I think she's just like, that's kind of cool. I mean, they wanted to go back to Illinois to see it. I'm like, well, I'm going the week of because I have to get ready. So I don't know. They didn't get to see my first one because they were small.
Sure.
My mom watched them because she refused to come and see me fight. So she watched them, but they got to see it on YouTube and they thought it was cool. I mean, they see me work out all the time. They see me train now. I didn't train back then.
Yeah.
I didn't train others. So now they're seeing me train, especially other women and girls. I think my youngest client now is 17. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I think for them to see that aspect of it. I think they're kind of used to it. I mean, their mom has blue hair and tattoos, and it will always be weird. So, in a good way,
weird's becoming the mainstream.
I love it.
You know,
we embrace our weird. That's our motto at home. Embrace our weird.
It's good.
Mm-hmm. I'd rather my kids be weird. I don't have a choice.
More fun. It's more fun.
It is. It is.
We don't need a bunch of stiffs growing up.
I agree.
Anymore, you know?
I agree.
The stiffs times are over.
The weird people are coming out.
So how many projects do you have going? I mean, like, on top of, you know, training.
Right.
I feel like you got your hands in a lot of things.
I always have my hands in a lot of things. So I feel like, I mean, there's always the things I need to do to support my family. So, of course, I work. I do some property management type things, which is great. I like it. Again, I can make my own schedule. And it's a great industry here in Traverse City area. So I got to pay my bills. But then I also, in November, will be starting back at the homeless shelter, which I absolutely love that job. I reached out to them and said I'm ready when it opens. I love working there.
So what do you do when you're working at the shelter?
Again, it's something different every day, which is what I can appreciate. So we have kind of a crew of us who just basically like maintain the shelter. So like when they come in, checking them in, making sure they're safe, they're fed, they're warm. That's the end of the day. What our main goal is to make sure that they're provided for and warm. It's during the winter months here in Traverse City, which can be pretty brutal. And then just making sure that they have what they need.
what's the homeless shelter? Is it Goodwill Inn? Is that where?
That's where they can stay year round. So Safe Harbor is the shelter downtown.
So at least in Traverse City, it's fucking bad. Like, it's terrible. I don't know what the numbers are like, but like you go past and they have that little encampment just past the Goodwill Inn and Keystone, and it's just like, I don't know how many people are staying out there. It seems like a lot, though.
Yeah.
They did some, when I say they, there was a church that was putting it on. I was working for the radio station. I had to interview the pastor. I didn't even realize what it was for necessarily. But the event, and I don't want to talk shit because I have friends that might even see this podcast and that helped put it on. But it was a fundraiser for the homeless to get tarps. And I'm like, we can't do anything better than tarps at this point. Like, I know they need, like, those are things that they probably need and will help in the immediacy, you know? But it's just like, is that where we're at? We're just fucking, hey, get them some tarps. Like, I feel like that was a way misplaced fundraiser to me. Like, we could have done something better, you know?
Yeah. It's an interesting experience to just experience like their basic needs, what they need. Also, too, I think just a reminder, to me, it's very humbling. I'm such a compassionate person. Like, most people are like, oh, you're so hardcore. I was like, one thing you don't know about me is like super compassionate. Like, probably one of the most compassionate people ever.
I cry every time I hit somebody.
Until you punch me in the face, then it's on. Like, I am the most easygoing, compassionate person. But like that humbling experience to just be like, I need a pair of socks. Cool. Let's get you a pair of socks. And just that dignity that they have, like, it's just, it could be me. Like, at any point, especially getting divorced, like, that could have been me and my kids.
Sure.
Like, it could be anybody at any point, at any time in their life. So it's just a nice reminder to be like, hey, and then also not to take pity. Like, it's like, you need something, you know, we have rules, we have expectations. Yeah, we're still going to provide for you, but you're also, you know, there needs to be some level of respect as well. And I don't know, I just love it there. Like, there's one experience I know with a gentleman there. Bless him, for weeks and months. He was just like, oh, my feet hurt. I'm like, cool. If you need help or anything, just let me know. And I was like, those boots haven't come off his feet in a long time. And I'm just like, whenever you're ready, you just let me know. He's like, no, I don't let anyone touch my feet. I'm like,
I was like,
that's cool. Like, you let me know when you change your mind. He's like, no.
So much a better person than I am.
Everyone's like, I would not do that. I'm like, I get it, and I kept offering, and he's like, no, especially females. Like, no woman touches my feet. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. So then finally he came to me. He's like, they're hurting. Like, I think I'm ready. I'm like, cool, let's take them off. And I was like, now I understand why nobody touches your feet, you know. But I'm like, and to him, that was such a huge, again, kind of the respect, like, this is what you have going on. This is the current situation. We can either continue to, you know, just ignore it, or let's take care of it. And then every week he'd come in for his weekly pedicure spa session with me. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's get it done. Like, that to me is just a sense of courtesy and just reminds me of his dignity as a human.
Because that's the key word, I think, is dignity.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be so many instances where you feel like you lose it.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, you feel like you lose it. You feel like it's gone.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is it? And then, you know, something as simple as...
Yeah.
It's not simple, though. You know? It's not. It's way more not simple for me. I like the idea of touching a stranger's feet in particular, or in general, is off-putting, to say the least, you know? You really got to be a different kind of person to say that I will do that, and
I know nothing. And then I was like, oh, and that makes sense now. I have never let someone touch your feet. I get it.
But it's just, you know, it's a little thing.
It is
a little thing.
To me, it was little. I mean, obviously, to him, I knew it would mean a lot to him. But it's things like that, or they're, you know, and it's not everybody, but you experience all sorts of walks of life. So again, some substance abuse, some not. Some are they just don't have somewhere to go at night, or it might be a mom that's on the street and her kids are somewhere else, but she doesn't. I mean, there's so many different scenarios that at the end of the day, our task is to keep you warm because we don't want you dead on the streets. Like, that, to me, I mean, obviously, housing is great, and we want to get you to that point and get you where you're stable and you're, you know, feel like you're part of the community and you're contributing. But I think at the end of the day, too, basic human needs. That's my humble opinion, but I love it.
Basic human needs, yeah. Yeah, just something. I'm sure a lot of the job is something just as simple as just like talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Talking to somebody like a human rather than,
I want to know their story and then empowering them. Like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not going to give you everything you need. I mean, obviously, if you need soap and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, again, it's your choice, like we talked about earlier. It's your choice how you want this to go. So we'll still be open, but if I never see you again, I would love that. If I never see you again until you're not homeless or sober or whatever, have a different way of life, then kudos, and we'll meet on the other side somewhere. So it's very humbling. Yeah, so I do that. That's where I'll start again in November.
How often are you? Do you invite people at the center to come train? And how often is that?
So we have had that conversation. I had 2 gentlemen last year who the deal was that if they went to rehab, I would train them when they got back. And one took me up on the offer, and he came back and he trained with me for a month. I said, I will buy you a gym membership for a month.
Fuck yeah.
I will train you for a month. You come back where you're sober. You have to be sober when you see me, and fair enough. And he came back, and we trained for a month, and he went on along his way, and hopefully he's doing well.
It's awesome.
That was part of my thing. Yeah, I'm like, so that usually comes up. Like, once they find out, they're like, ooh, that's fun. I'm like, yeah, but I don't. They're like, oh, can you train while we're here? I'm like, no. Like, my thing is that, yeah, I'll help you on the outside, but not here when you're not sober or your situation or whatever. That was my deal with 2 of them, at least. It worked. So
fantastic.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in raising 2 girls. Coaching. So I definitely want to do more coaching aspect. I kind of went into the life coaching realm, but it felt really icky to me.
That's how here's the thing. You say icky. I was going to think icky, but I wasn't going to say it. It was like, but that was how I thought of you.
Yes.
Was a life coach,
most people
but
do.
Not icky.
Oh, thanks.
But
Thank
not you. The cheesy, like a smarminess to it a lot of times and pretentiousness to it.
Oh, my gosh.
You got to pick out who's real.
Kind of going into the industry, I just had a conversation with someone the other day about this. Like, going into the industry, you know that there's going to be those folks. And then I was just really turned off by a lot of it. And I was like, I don't know that I want to associate, because, again, I'm kind of a rebel spirit where I'm like, I don't want to be like everyone else. But also, too, to get into that, everyone's like, are you a life coach? I'm like, I don't even like that term, because I think it has such a negative connotation to it that it's like, how do I get around that where it's not that icky feeling? Or how do I health and wellness?
Come up with your own term.
I have, yeah, that's what I'm kind of like still exploring and going, okay, how do I really kind of make this where it clicks and feels good to me? If anyone would just, obviously if I could buy my RV, get paid to travel and just speak on stages everywhere, I'd be set.
Fuck, you're preaching to the choir. Like, that's all I want to do. Because I'm doing this Irish trip in a few years, where I go to Ireland, hike for a year. And that's just feeding the wanderlust that is, I went out west a few years ago, drove out there, and I'm like, I need to fucking be out here. I need to be in Ireland. I got to do the Ireland thing.
Have you been to Ireland?
No, but there's always been like this romantic vibe with Ireland. Yeah, that's the thing. And I go on my virtual runs through fucking Ireland or wherever it might be.
I was there for St. Patty's Day 2000.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was pretty epic.
I'm going to go
Dublin
for a year, so
nice.
I'll leave April 1st. I'll come back and I'll wrap up the trip officially St. Patty's Day in Dublin. So I'll start in Dublin and in Dublin after walking around. Yeah. But honestly, I'm taking this and I'm considering just not staying over there necessarily, but I want to fucking see all the things I've read about and seen in movies and shit. I want to do that stuff,
Yeah.
It's so huge. That's a real helpable sort of thing.
For sure. Yeah, that's what, I mean, if I could get paid just to, go around and talk and inspire, like you always listen to motivational speakers, which I noticed every motivational speaker thing I listen to that's like really like kind of in your face are male. I'm like, so we have a lot of female motivational speakers, but a lot of them are more kind of on the, I don't know. I don't even want to say like more the spiritual, more religious side, and I'm just like, where are all the females going like, get your fucking head out of your ass?
All the badass women.
right? Like, get up, like do something. Like I listen to all these motivational speaking, videos and stuff. And I'm like, just so many male voices. I'm like, maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. If I could.
Have you ever had a podcast or anything?
I have considered it.
You should.
I know.
You're a good talker.
Because I could talk for days.
Yeah, you're a good talker.
I have always considered. I think it's more, again, the commitment issues. I think it's like the structure of it kind of gets me like...
I'm the master of commitment issues. And if I can fucking do this. If I can do this shit, seriously.
Get over it, Jaclyn.
Say what?
You're like, get over it, Jaclyn.
No, it's true, though. It's true, though. Like, I have bad commitment issues, and I can tell you, like, focusing on this shit every day.
Yeah.
I've never been able to focus on like projects for long.
Right.
Like, I've really, it's next level with this shit. Yeah. So.
Nice. Well, thanks for the inspiration. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do. It's backhanded inspiration, yeah.
Like, little did you know.
If I can do it, you can.
Okay, fair enough.
So if you were to do it, like what were you thinking of doing?
I always thought of doing similar thing, like I think for me we get so inundated with information, obviously, and so many things we kind of see, and I get this a lot from people, and I think that's why I kind of feel into it, of this idea that it's like so heady and so like unobtainable, and just like, oh, Jaclyn, you're doing fight training, like that's awesome. I'm like, literally, like I'm getting up and working out. I mean, granted, I'm doing something on a completely different level to some people, but some people I'm not. Like, I'm just an ordinary mom of two that just wanted a fitness challenge and decided to actually like commit to it. So it's things of that, or like, oh my gosh, you're doing all these awesome things. Like, that's, I don't know, it's just a decision every day. So I feel like we kind of miss this boat of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Yeah. Whether it be raising kids, whether it be starting a business, whether it be, just hustling and doing your thing, doing a podcast. Like, what are all these things that people are doing? I think we kind of forget that we all have kind of a piece of the puzzle.
We all have it inside of us to do shit like this, you know what I mean? And that was a real big thing for me, deciding to leave radio and deciding to just create my own shit.
Right.
And really committing to doing that is fucking scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary. I mean, not every day, but I mean, there's still a lot of days I'm like, God, I wish I could. God, I don't think I can do this.
Right.
I don't think I can do this. But then the ego thing, I fucking have these Facebook pages. I guess I
told people I do it. Yeah, I get it.
But I mean, it's, I want to be a badass. I want to inspire people to do.
You are a badass. Everyone's
shit.
A badass.
Yeah, that's what I'm
in
saying.
Their own way. I think that's what we forget too. That there's like this. I always say the cookie cutter mold. Like, what is the definition of this? Well, everyone's definition is going to be different. So for me, it is selling all my shit and living in an RV. Like, some people are like, my ex-husband was like, absolutely not. Like, we are not selling all our shit. And I'm like, because I like to travel and learn, but that's not for him.
The mindset with so many people that something like that would be considered a failure.
Yeah.
I think so many people would consider it, what the fuck are you doing going live in an RV? Oh, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want.
Right. Yeah. And it's nothing skin off their back, so maybe their life looks completely different. I think that's what we forget. It's like we try to fit everyone into this mold. I think that's been my experience because of my upbringing in politics, and you kind of fit this mold and everything's good on the outside and then you're just dying on the inside, like, oh my God. Or like, okay, this is what you should do. This is how everything's lined up for you. It was very lined up for me until I moved to Michigan. My path was paved. Like, it was very crystal clear what path I was taking. Very crystal clear.
When you say that, like, were you... Because you were a trustee, local trustee, so were you going, was that going to happen more, do you think?
Yeah, it would have. It would have progressed. I would have been basically the mini version of my mother.
Really?
I would have been. And everyone knew that, and that's what they were, I don't even want to say groomed. That's like such a horrible word to use, but like, that's where it was.
There's no other word for it.
It was paved for me. I mean, I ran the Chamber of Commerce 5 years after my mom did. She went into elected office. Oh, will you run for it? And I was like, no, my kids are too young. Like, I just don't want to do that yet. I know how much it sucked to be a kid of a politician. At most of the time. I liked some of it, but most of it kind of sucked. So that whole thing there, okay, well, why don't you run for village trustee? No. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Then get elected, and then it was like, I mean, I could look back.
Did you say, oh, fuck, I got elected?
But then I loved it, right?
Yeah.
But then I loved it because I like the public servant part of it. Like, I like to make a difference and impact, but I just don't like all the political bullshit. And my kids, I don't want them to have to go through that either. That's tough on kids. Very tough on kids. Was it
your idea to move, or was it your ex-husband's idea to move?
It was always my idea.
Yeah.
It was always kind of the break free.
How much getting elected had to do with you moving? Like, I can't do it.
Not at all. I don't know that I ever thought we would move, honestly. Yeah. I was always planting the seed. He's definitely, I mean, we're both from that area. He has kids as well. They were older, though. They're now older, but that always kind of the factor. I think he's just kind of a comfort person. So I was like, oh, let's go. Like, let's explore somewhere new. And then he started looking for a job, and I was like, oh, like, you're like, we're legit looking at this. And then it was like, boom, bang. Okay, now we're moving to Traverse City within 6 months. I was like, oh, like, we announced. He got offered first part of November. Our house was on the market Thanksgiving Day. We were up here 2 days after Christmas. Like, it was like, and telling my family, like, we're all moving, and like, everyone's like, wait, what? I'm like, I know. It's like sudden. And I'm like, see ya. Peace. I'm out.
Yeah.
Then got here and all of that process. But
right on.
Yeah. So, I mean, I always have been kind of like, let's move somewhere or try something new. Just because I think I was just I knew I could see what my life looked like.
So now you've been here locally in Traverse City for how long?
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's been interesting. It's a great community.
It is.
It is.
I talk shit a lot about Traverse City, but it's, it's not without love. Like, I'm from close by. I'm from Kalkaska, so it's just like, I love it here. I take it for granted a lot of times. I am not, like, you were talking about, running the chamber and community-minded. That was one thing that I hated about the radio.
Oh, the radio?
Was
I worked in radio, and I get it, yeah.
And I hate hobnobbing. I hate, like, talking to people just to try to
shaking hands, kissing babies?
Networking.
What? Not a networking fan?
No. Social networking as far as I go. Like, the only reason that I really am on Facebook still is just so I can promote podcasts.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure. Yeah, I don't blame you on that. Yeah. I think I've realized over the last few years that I'm really not as into networking as I thought I was. I think it was kind of forced upon me because every position I had, same thing. Like, I worked at the radio station, I worked in marketing, I worked in advertising, ran the chamber, I was in politics. Like, all of that was kind of forced upon me. Yeah. And then I feel like, when I got here, I'm like, wait, I don't have to like really even talk to anyone if I don't want to. So I withdrew for a while.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to go to this business after hours at the airport? Oh, fuck. No, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to do that. Because I have this, like, thing in me where it's best described as, like, imposter syndrome.
Sure.
Like, I don't belong here.
Sure.
I don't belong here. I don't belong here. I don't, everywhere I'm at, usually I'm there by mistake. So I have that in my head.
Sure.
But yeah, just the idea of just like.
Now, see, and I watched that from the chamber aspect because I was the president, CEO, executive director, whatever you want to call it. And I was always really, really cognizant of the people who would come, and you could just tell they felt super, because again, super compassionate, and I'm an empath, and I was like, okay, let's bring them in. So I would be like that person, like, okay, let's get you a little more comfortable. And everyone always like, that's a really good way to approach it, because most people you go, I don't care. I'm also one of those people, like, I don't really care what your title is. Like, at the end of the day, I don't care if you're governor, senator. I mean, I've been at tables with all of that. You're still a human. I'm still a human. And who knows, just because you have a title doesn't mean that you have anything better than I do. You have the title. Good luck to you, because you have a whole lot more responsibility.
That's honestly... That's something
Sucks
I had to
be
get
you
over
sometimes.
too.
Yeah.
That's something I had to get over too, where I had this thing where I would be so nervous, imposter syndrome, like being around anybody that I thought was like cooler than me or smarter than me or better than me. Like, I wouldn't think these things consciously, but they're there.
Sure. Most definitely.
Yeah. So that was like, it's better now. I don't. But I still catch myself fucking falling into that mindset.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do. They just don't maybe recognize it or don't want to recognize it. Yeah. And they're like, oh no, it's just, or I don't put myself in those situations, or I don't, whatever it might be. And maybe you're missing out, here and there on some things because of that. I felt like that in the life coaching world. Like, where it's like, okay, imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to share my story? Like, who wants to know my story?
Sure.
I mean, it's not like a Dutch. I mean, yeah, there's been some really key things, some really like a one key point that I know for sure that I always talk about them. Like, this was a really big turning point for me. But I feel like when I almost committed suicide.
Oh.
Yeah. Most people are like, wait, what? I'm like, see, again, you see this like very confident, very badass person, and there's some darkness. And I think that that's where I want people to realize, like, there's no reason to feel inferior to people or to me, or I always feel like, oh, I want to be as badass as you. I'm like, you are. You just need to tap into it, whatever that looks like for you. Your badassery isn't going to be the same as mine, because it's mine. Like, you can't have my badassery. Sorry. You can find your own shit.
Yeah. So how long ago was that?
That would have been in 2019.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to get into like details or anything like that, but I just feel like so many people, like I have my own depression issues and my anxiety issues, but I just feel like so many people have those issues and they're not, they won't talk about it. They won't be open about it. But I feel like almost everybody has those issues. It's how much they're affecting them at this point in their history.
Exactly.
That's really what that is.
Yeah, when I kind of hit that point and I was like, ooh, okay. Well, and then I went through that whole, well, I'm not going to let anyone else control me. I'm not going to let anyone else determine what my life course. So you take that, you kind of get that empowerment piece where it kind of takes you up from that pit and you're like, yeah, this is really great. And then it was just recently that I realized, like, oh, wait, it's not because everyone else has a problem. Oh, I'm like feeding into my own toxicity. That's how this is. Like, there's a lot of clarity that comes with that. We're like, oh, yeah, that turning point, that situation for me was so based on someone else isn't going to tell me how to live my life, and you have to have that little bit of empowerment to kind of bring you up and through it. And then when you kind of hit that plateau that I've hit probably in the last like year, and I was like, and I think dating has really done it to me. Holy fucking shit show. Like,
yeah, that's why I stopped. That's why I'm not dating.
I'm like, holy shit. Like, that is like, for me, I'm like, wow, if that isn't a glimpse into how I'm presenting myself and what I feel about myself, like, holy shit, that is not for the faint of heart. That could be a whole nother podcast on dating.
Honestly, I mean, I have just put myself, I have told myself that I am too fucking busy. Yeah. I am so fucking busy trying to do this podcast, trying to do all kinds of shit at Fresh Coast, trying to make my I don't have any time to give to anybody else. I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, the last time I tried, bless her heart, and there's nothing. But you just, you just can't be there if you're trying to do all this extra shit.
Yeah,
and I'm not pleasant. I am not a peach. I'm a lot to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, and I think about that. Like, okay, so, I can go through same thing with, dating and be like, oh, they didn't do this or this. Then I'm like, at the end of the day, again, where's that common denominator? Oh, it's me. Oh, I need to learn how to process through that instead of putting it off on everyone else.
Who was I talking to recently? We were talking about dating red flags.
Oh, God.
And it was like it was on Facebook, and I'm ignoring all these red flags. I'm like, maybe the red flag in this situation is looking for red flags.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big...
You're kind of picking them out and putting that energy toward it. Yeah. They're going to come out full force. Yeah, it's been interesting, to say the least.
So, dating has made you see your own faults more? Is that right? Is that your words or my words?
I think so.
Is it? Yeah.
Honestly, I'm like, okay. I mean, I think I'm a great person. I'm like, I'd probably date myself. But then I think what happens is that there's so much emphasis put on, okay, what are they doing or not doing or whatever. And then even too, like, in the throes of dating someone, like that whole, like, oh my gosh, they're not responding. What stupid thing did I say? Like, I'm going through that now, like, where it's like, oh my gosh, okay, so I texted, but they didn't, I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? Yeah. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, all I'm doing is hurting myself or making myself go crazy when they're kind of like, have no idea.
The text thing is a big issue for me because I literally, and it pisses a lot of people off that I am not more chatty. I leave my phone down for like hours.
Uh-huh.
I'll see text, And I'm like, nope.
Yeah,
I'm not touching
you would
any
drive
of
me
it.
crazy.
I have my time for fucking for chatting, and it's not.
See?
Like, I don't understand why we have to be so connected. You know, I think about like 20 years ago, before any of that shit. Like, I was perfectly happy.
Yeah,
I was perfectly happy
How did
not
we
having
make
to
it?
do that all the time.
and I keep thinking that, like, same thing, like, oh my gosh, we're not connected. Oh my gosh, what did I say? Oh my, and then it's like, wait a second. Okay, I have 10 million other things I could be doing. And then you start going, so then you start losing yourself, that whole process again. Like, well, okay, I'm not going to do this because maybe then this time will be spent with this person, and then I don't do whatever I want to accomplish. Then I get pissed off because I have that, or I don't go to the gym. I mean, I always go to the gym, but like, or I don't focus, or I'm eating chocolate because I'm so stressed out when I'm not supposed to be eating chocolate because I'm supposed to only eat fish and chicken and some eggs all day. You know, like all of that. And then I look at it and I'm like, that's because of them. I'm like, really, it's me.
Yeah, no,
How
that's
do I
you.
let
Yeah,
go of that? Right? You're like, nope, you have the issue. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. It's a therapy session, so make sure you charge
Speaking
me
of,
for
do you have
that.
any like great tips for compulsive eating, overeating?
Oh,
Nothing.
I got
Other than
nothing.
a fucking lobotomy. Honestly, I don't know what my fucking problem is. I know a lot of it. Like, I close at the bar now. You know.
Okay.
And I'm used to being bachelor that got home fucking late at night, either from events at for the radio station or fucking closing at the
Right.
bar. So I'm used to like Taco Bell or fast food, fucking gas station cheeseburgers. I know it's terrible, but
It sounds
they're a
delicious right now,
weakness.
though.
Yeah, it's so cheap and stupid, and I'm
To me,
like,
it
I'm gonna
sounds
eat two of
delicious.
these. Yeah, that's my
Is it just the
big
habit
weakness right now.
of-
It's the habit of getting out of work late and needing something shitty, I guess. I don't know.
Do you think it's stress
Oh,
related?
yeah, 100%. I don't
So
know
then
how
it's
to get rid
stress
of that.
eating. Yeah, right. Well, have something prepared. That would be my biggest thing. So my issue is that if there's nothing there, then I'm like, oh, what can I eat? And then you tend to eat like 10 million different things out of the fridge. Like I'm one of those stand in front of the fridge and then just, this looks good, this looks good. Have something ready. So like you don't even think about it. And if it's a healthier option or maybe it's just a little indulgent, I think that's too, like people are like, oh, right now it sucks. It totally sucks to eat eggs, fish, and chicken. That's all I'm eating all day long.
That's like
3
I told you
eggs,
before. I'm
some fish, and some
fasting all
chicken.
this week.
Yeah.
I'm like
So-
hatred so much.
I get you. So, and I'm not that hangry. Oh gosh. So I don't know if it's like, I think we get so hell bent on like, well, if it isn't healthy, you also have to indulge. I'm sorry. Like our brains are wired to be like, if you are you're just gonna continue to crave it. I'm not saying like go eat. To me, I could sit and eat like an entire pound of chocolate
Yeah.
in one sitting, especially if it's dark chocolate. I'm done for. So like that type of thing where it's like maybe just have a little something or have something prepared would be my biggest, like don't stop.
Yeah.
Like just keep driving home.
I've been better at that. It's just, but it's still there. It still happens way too frequently.
Well, I don't have any tips except stop fucking doing it.
I mean, that's,
Drive
I
home.
told my brother.
Drive home.
Yeah.
Go fucking home.
It's so easy too. It's so easy to just go home. And I have food prepared. Like there's always food, you know. Levi's a fucking hell of a cook. There's always some kind of
Oh, right.
leftovers. I'm recalculating how my brain works. I'm retraining myself, so I'm calorie counting now. And I'm
Good.
doing all that shit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
hate it.
Yeah,
I
it
hate
sucks.
it so much.
I hate keeping track of macros and all the other bullshit.
I have started doing macros.
Calorie counting. Bleh. I just basically am like, just tell me what I need to eat. I'm that kind of person. Like, I know I know what to eat regularly, but like especially for fight training, I legit just walked in. I'm like, Justin, just tell me what I need to eat. And then I got off track. Then I got my ass chewed out last week, and I got back on track.
See, that's why I couldn't have a fucking trainer. I hate so much the idea of somebody telling me what to do or fucking yelling at me or something. I'm like, fuck this. I'm never coming back to this fucking place again.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like, just lay into me. I need it one time. It's like, you have a goal. Remember what you're doing. I was like, okay, back on track. So if you're not wired like that, then you need to do it yourself.
Oh, no, I am. It's happening. I am totally more and more and more. I've upped my game. I quit smoking in November, so
Nice.
I'm like got lungs back. I mean, I'm getting my cardio back with
amazing
that
what
thing.
happens,
I'm bringing
right?
upper body back in a little bit at a time, but
So what's your intention behind all of it?
I just want to get healthy.
Okay.
Like, I don't even like weighing myself, but I am because of this whole fucking,
Right.
calorie counting and all this shit. I went vegan for the most of October. I did sober October, but I drank beer and fucking ate like shit anyway. But my goal is just to be healthier. Like, I don't even want to weigh myself.
Right.
It's for the long haul. Like, it's training to hike in Ireland.
Nice.
It's all that shit. I'm going for total lifestyle change, you know?
Right.
But
I think that that's sometimes what we forget. Like, what's the intention behind it?
Yeah.
Like, what was the intention behind me doing fight training? What was the intention behind you getting healthy? It is more, I don't weigh myself unless I have to.
Yeah.
And to have to weigh myself just kills me.
Oh, my other goal is to get
myself.
into all of my T-shirts that I can't get into anymore.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's my other goal.
That's a perfect goal.
That's my other goal.
See? And that's so tailored to you. I think that that's what people do. Like, oh, I want to have this certain body type, or I want to do that. Like, what's your goal? Like, at the end of the day, my goal is to step into a cage. It's not for everybody. I'm not saying you have to lock yourself in a cage. I just have to get my ass beat, apparently, to get the point across. But for me, or for you, it's different. And it's going to be different for everybody. I think that's what we kind of sometimes forget.
190 is my key weight. That's what I'm going for. That was my it was 180 in the Army.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm happy if I can get sub 200. I'll be fucking so happy because it's been 20 years.
Nice.
Probably
You'll
since
get
I've
there.
been 220
You'll get
below
there.
200 rather.
Staying healthy for the long haul. Think that Ireland trip.
Yeah.
That's what's
Gotta
going to keep you
thinking
going.
About it. Got to keep doing it. But I love, we were talking about the weed day workouts thing. Mm-hmm. I love getting on that elliptical. It is one of the highlights of my day. Is just getting on the elliptical and fucking running like the wind. I have like the best brainstorming sessions. I like
Nice.
have the best ideas.
Mine are in the shower.
And I'm just going.
I would take the shower over the elliptical.
No.
I do not like. I have to get up
My shower is not that productive.
in certain ways, right?
Yeah. Most ways.
Whole nother
I mean,
discussion.
Yeah. Let's not do that. That's our Friday night podcast.
It's like go there pretty quickly. I think too for me, like the fasted cardio has been like in my head. I'm like, oh, I got to get up in the morning. I don't eat, and then I go work out, which I hate cardio anyway. And then I'm like, oh, it's so going to be so terrible. And then, but I've noticed over the past week or two that I've really stuck to it. That the clarity and stuff that I get, and just that, yeah, it sucks. Sometimes I'm just angry. But man, my body's just like, remember, or I have some clarity, or I have some breakthroughs, some ideas. I'm like, okay, it's not so bad. Once I work my way through
How important is the cardio? How often do you do cardio?
Yeah, so right now I do fasted cardio when I wake up in the morning. So I will have, typically I try to stop eating at a certain time at night and just have my tea before I go to bed because that helps me go to sleep. And maybe sometimes a bite of an edible if I'm really anxious that night. And then drift off to sleep, do my supplements that work on my body at night. And then I'll wake up in the morning and still be fasted. And then I'll do 45 minutes. And then I typically lift either sometime during that day or after if I can eat in between. Train clients, whatever. And then I'm now doing second cardio at the end of the day. So I'm trying to decide if I do it in the afternoon. It doesn't always work. It's like I have my kids sometimes. But I'll do it at night.
You do it every day, right?
Every single day, twice a day cardio.
Yeah. But I mean, I just see some that aren't. That's not even a concern. Like, cardio.
And I'm not a
concern of
cardio
lot of
person.
people.
Yeah, I'd give me weights any day.
Yeah.
Like I'll lift weights nonstop.
So that's where I get lost. I try. I'm just like, I fucking hate it so much.
Oh,
I
hate cardio. I love lifting.
Yeah.
That's my jam. I can lift. Cardio, not so much. I'm just not a cardio person, but I know to condition, to even get in, to lose all the weight that I have to lose, I have to do cardio, and I just have to suck it up, and most of the time it sucks, but it hasn't been too bad, which tells me that I have to push myself even more. If it isn't, and I'm like in the hoodie, like cutting weight hoodie, like a gentleman stopped me today. He goes, "You look like a wrestler cutting weight." I'm like, "I am cutting weight." He's like, "Oh shit, I didn't know that." I'm like, yeah, I'm like in the hoodie, like don't talk to me. I look really, really mean, and I'm just like sweating profusely. Yeah, it's a good look. I always say, good thing I don't try to pick up men at the gym because it's brutal.
I was just going to be like, you should have just... Honestly, you're such a nice
not a good
person, but I mean, you could got away with being an asshole in that situation. I am doing fucking weight training.
Me, I'm like, I am. I start crying, and tears come down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good look. Pretty brutal. But
Depends on what you're looking for.
true.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, that would not be one I would. Yeah, probably a good thing.
Jaclyn, it was really cool to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Really cool to have you on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, recap real quick. kind of what you're into, how people can find you if they want to train with you, or any of that shit.
Sure.
All the things.
Facebook is probably the best place to find me, to kind of track me. So just under Jaclyn Dugan-Roof.
Do you have a like page as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I do have my personal page, but then I have one that's called Unleashed All Badassery, No BS, because that's kind of my brand. And I'm trying to build that more. I think the fight training, the fight is kind of going to be the turning point for me to then go into more of my, feel a little more comfortable going into my coaching and where I kind of fit into that, my fitness regimen and who I want to train and what I want to focus on has been kind of obscure over the past couple, probably the past year. How do I kind of want to fit into that? Because, again, I don't want to just go into this world where it's very inundated and people are just like, oh, same bullshit over and over. I'm a little more like, it's on you the other day because it was on me to do this fight training. So I feel like that's going to be a turning point for me to kind of rebrand kind of how I'm approaching things and how I kind of want to show up in the world. So, yeah, that's kind of where anyone can find me. Would probably be Facebook would be your best spot. Right. Yeah, and then just look for the crazy girl if you're in Traverse City with blue hair.
Blue hair.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. Who is like smiling and all bubbly, and then you punch me in the face, and that's totally on. Put on gloves is a whole nother story.
Man, I bet there's some inherent sexism in this comment.
Yes, I cannot wait.
Well,
please.
you said
please.
That your mom I have always had a hard time watching fucking women fight. To be an MMA, it's like this. I'm like,
I have a hard time watching it in general.
Get the fucking shit kicked out of them. I don't give two shits about some guy fighting, but if it's a woman, oh man, I can't stand to watch it. I can't stand to watch it. It's brutal.
It is.
But it should be, right? Because I was trained to not hit women. I was trained? I was taught to not hit women. You know what I mean?
That's what a lot of people are like, oh, when you trained, like, was it guys would just hit you? I'm like, well, yeah, because I was their counterpart. Now, they're not going to go out and just haul off and start hitting women. Like, that's not the intention of it. Now, I went in there with the intention of getting beat up and wanting to train, and I wanted kind of that equal part. Do I think that they're going around beating women up? Absolutely not. That's not part of it. So same thing with everyone's like, oh, you just go around beating people up. I'm like, I don't just go around punching people. Like, this is not, it's a discipline. It's my fitness.
Yeah.
Now,
it's illegal if you go around punching
people. Yeah. Like, what do you do?
Just right
walk
setting,
right,
okay, yeah.
right? But I feel I respect that from guys who are like, ooh, I'm not sure. Like, even to my ex-husband, he's like, when I was watching your fight, I'm like, holy crap. Like, that's my wife in there. Like, that's going to be interesting. I'm like, sorry. Like, that's what I signed up to do. And mine wasn't even brutal.
It's fucking badass, though.
Thank you.
It's badass, though. But there's just this block in my brain that it just.
I'm not a fan of watching anyone get beat up in the cage, honestly.
Well, here's the thing. If you ever come back on the podcast, which is an open invite,
awesome, thank you.
Come back on the podcast. You bring your fight video, and we'll fucking go over your fight video.
Analyze it, right?
We'll analyze
awesome.
your fight video.
Be like, and that's where your cardio would have come in handy.
Yep.
That's where you clearly did not do your 2-a-day cardio.
You should have done weed day workouts at patreon.com/.
That might be the next training.
The number Maybe 3 sets. You just got to get good at promoting, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Promoting yourself, yeah.
Hey, shameless plugs all over.
Jaclyn, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Right,
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks again to Jaclyn. I posted on my social media the selfie that I took with Jaclyn. And one of the comments, I think it was Holly, said, oh, I love your blue hair. And then, oh, Smitty, I love your hair too. Oh, thank you. Thank you. If you didn't like it, I was going to have to dye it blue myself. What did I want to mention else? What did I want to mention else? What else did I want to mention? I did want to mention, man, oh man, Adele. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know what it is. I loved her before this album coming out. Like I've never listened to another album before, and I'm actually planning on making a fucking a weed day workout video where I listen to an Adele album and travel through England and run through England for the entire new Adele album. I think that'll be fucking funny at patreon.com/we3smiths. But I'm like, I've always loved her, and I started following her on Instagram, and I just saw that she was fucking... I fell in love with her social media on Instagram, you know? I loved her before, but I love the fact that she seemed to be taking her mental health seriously. She lost a bunch of weight. She was battling through fucking trolls that, like, you know, talk shit about her losing weight. Like, how dare you not be part of the club anymore? Like, it's a part of the club to be fat. And that was, see, I say that being an obese person, you know? It's like, I don't care what anybody says, you know? I accept everybody. But I also know that most fucking people that are fat, obese, whatever, don't want to be really. Like, they're overall happy, but there's a lot of issues that comes with being fat. You know what I mean? It just being able to fit in things, or, you know, you name it. I could probably tell you a million different fucking reasons why I hate being fat, and most people do. I'm certainly not fat shaming, but Adele, man, holy fucking shit. Like, she's getting healthy, and, you know, it looks like fucking getting mentally healthy. And goddamn, I'm so for that anymore at this point in my life, man. It's so awesome to see people doing well. So when I knew her album was coming out, and I was making it a point to check it out. And my friend Mary, who said, what did she say? She's like, she went into the new song skeptical because she went into it sort of like, yeah, impress me, and then fucking hit play, and I don't know how, 20 seconds in, and you're just like in tears almost. But I don't want to suggest that she's the best singer I've ever heard. I'm sure there are better, you know, you name it, Aretha Franklin. She's up there, though, to me. That fucking girl can sing so powerfully and, like, nuanced, and I think she at least co-writes most of her songs. I think she plays the piano, right? I think so. Even if she doesn't. Fuck, man. Just great, fucking well-written, masterfully performed, so much nuance and power at the same time. It's fucking awesome, and it's fucking sexy and soothing, and I said it on fucking Facebook the other day. I'm like, if that fucking woman can just sing to me for the rest of my fucking life, but I still haven't listened to an album because I'm afraid I'm going to hate it, because I'm typically not a pop guy. You know, I gravitate towards rock and roll. I gravitate towards heavier music, you know, and not poppy. So I'm just like, I have this shitty thing in my head that I'm like, I don't want to not like it. Like, I don't want to get a few songs in and not like it, but I don't think it's possible. Everything I've heard from Adele, I fucking love. You know what I mean? And that's a terribly shallow and shitty way to look at, like, that kind of thing. But anyway, the point of the fucking matter is, oh my God, I've listened to that new song from Adele. Man, it was on loop for a long time. I feel like, I don't know if it's 20 minutes? It was a 4-minute song. That's another thing my brain just always goes to, the time of the song. Like, I bet you I could give you the time, at least give or take 10 seconds. Give or take 10 or 15 seconds, and I could tell you the time of most fucking classic rock and active rock songs that were through, like, 2017. I could probably fucking do that. It's just a stupid fucking talent that you get working in radio. Oh, it's so delicious. I'm going to go running after this. Not recording a weed day workout today, but I'm going to go running after this. And it's getting about that time that I want to get my run in so I can get showered and get down here and get this fucking podcast knocked out so you can see it on YouTube or Spotify. And remember to like and subscribe and all that shit. And patreon.com/we3Smiths. I know on the video it looks like I'm looking down. I don't know what fucking camera I'm looking at half the time. That camera right there. What the hell, everything. Thanks for joining me.
Good night, everybody.
I am so sorry for everything that has happened. Bye-bye.
Yeah, all right, I'll see you guys there.
By the bar and get your face, huh? Get me paid, bitch.
Sit, boo-boo, sit. Good dog.
I love y'all very much. Peace out.
Good night, ladies.
What the hell? Everything.